The Forgotten Toys, New Zoo. Once upon a time, when they were far away from home, a little girl and her brother lost their favorite toys. And the toys didn't like being lost. Now Teddy and Annie, the rag doll, were on their way home. But the journey back to their children was long and full of adventures. One day, they stopped outside a zoo. "I want to see the bears," said Teddy. "They're family." "You're not a bear," said Annie. "You're a teddy." "No, I'm a bear called Teddy," insisted Teddy. "Are you coming?" As they looked around the zoo, Annie and Teddy realized that something was wrong. All the animals were miserable. Even the hyena was too sad to laugh. Teddy spotted the bears. "Oi, cousins," he shouted. "I'm a bear, just like you." The bears just turned away. "Let's go," sighed Teddy. "No, we can't," said Annie. "Something terrible is happening here." An old elephant was standing nearby. His trunk had a knot in it. "Excuse me," Annie asked him. "Why are all the animals so sad?" "I can't remember," replied the elephant. "But elephants never forget," Annie reminded him. "Don't they?" asked the elephant. "I've got a memory like a sieve. I tied a knot in my trunk to remind me to. I've forgotten what it was. Ask the thingy. He's over there." Teddy and Annie weren't sure what kind of animal the thingy was, but they were sure that he was a very sad thingy. "What's wrong?" Annie asked. "She's leaving us," sobbed the thingy. "Climb aboard and I'll show you." Annie and Teddy climbed onto the thingy's back and rode around to the zoo gates. A lady with a battered suitcase was trudging away down the road. "That's her," said the thingy. "The kindest, bestest zookeeper ever, and she's leaving." The zookeeper turned around and waved to the thingy, who burst into tears again. "She spent all of her money looking after us," sobbed the thingy. "Now there's none left, and she's had to sell the zoo." "I'm sure the new zookeeper will be just as nice," said Annie. "No, he won't," said the thingy. The new zookeeper was already at work. Teddy, Annie, and the thingy watched him inspecting the animals. "You've been using far too much toothpaste," he snapped at the crocodiles. "And you," he told the ostrich, "will have to wear the same size scarf as everybody else." "I just told you, no second helpings," he reminded the forgetful elephant. "You're on a diet." Next it was the thingy's turn. Annie and Teddy hid. "What on earth are you?" inquired the keeper. "No one's going to pay to see you. You'll be the first to go." "Poor animals," whispered Annie. "We've got to help them." Later that night, the animals all gathered together for a special meeting. Teddy told them his plan. "The new zookeeper gets his money from all the visitors to the zoo," he explained. "All you have to do is stop the visitors coming. Then there won't be any money, and he won't be a zookeeper anymore." Next morning, the new keeper opened the gates and eagerly showed his first customers around. Teddy and Annie raced to tip off their friends. "They're on their way," called Teddy. "Monkeys first," said Annie. "My zoo has the funniest monkeys in the world," boasted the zookeeper. The visitors weren't convinced. The monkey house looked more like a library. Monkeys were wearing reading glasses, sat in silence, with their noses buried in books. "Is that all they do?" asked a customer. "No," said the keeper. "They can swing from the trees." peel bananas with their feet." "Shh," hissed the monkeys. "Come and see the zebras," whispered the zookeeper. Teddy and Annie were busy with paint pots and brushes. They finished just in time. "If those are zebras," complained the customer, "where are their stripes?" Come and see the lions," said the keeper. "They are truly the most ferocious you will ever see." The visitors clustered around the lion's cage and peered inside. The lions didn't look very dangerous. Some of them were dancing to pop music, and one of them was pushing a pram full of little baby rabbits. "Very ferocious. I'm so scared," laughed one of the customers. "Well, I want my money back," said another. "Me too." On their way out, all the visitors insisted on having their money back. The animals cheered, but the new zookeeper was furious. He stomped back to the middle of the zoo. "There is a new zoo rule," he told the animals. "No visitors, no food." Then he stormed out and slammed the gates behind him. "What are we going to do now?" asked the thingy. "I don't know," replied Annie. By night time, the animals were starving. They gathered dejectedly in the middle of the zoo for another meeting. "Listen," cried Teddy. "You don't have to put up with this. You could find someone else to look after you." "We could go back to our old keeper," suggested the thingy. "Yeah, why not?" said Teddy. "We'll take them, won't we, Pigtails?" While the people of the city were asleep in their beds, the animals made their way through the silent streets. They stopped outside a little house. Annie climbed onto the elephant's head and knocked on the bedroom window. What are you doing up here?" asked the old zookeeper. "Look who's come to see you," said Annie. "Come in," said the lady. "Come in." The animals made themselves at home in their friend's little house. There were crocodiles in the bath, bears under the stairs. Soon every nook and cranny seemed to have a furry creature in it. The old zookeeper was delighted to see them, but after feeding them all, she sat down with a sigh. "What's wrong?" asked Annie. "It's lovely to see them again," said the lady, "but they can't stay. This isn't a zoo." "It could be," said Teddy, "if you wanted it to be." "But my house is far too small to be a zoo," argued the lady. "That's it," exclaimed Teddy. "It's going to be the smallest zoo in the world." "And the animals will help," said Annie. "Won't you?" Suddenly the room was filled with smiling, nodding animals, all eager to help. The monkeys raced around the city, handing out leaflets for the world's smallest zoo. By the time the doors opened, there was a queue of excited customers waiting outside. They paid for their tickets and began to explore the zoo. Behind one door they found a pride of ferocious lions. Behind another, a pack of playful bears. And then there was the thingy. They weren't sure what he was, but they were sure that they liked him. After tea with the penguins, the visitors went home, delighted with their day at the zoo. The old zookeeper finished counting her money and popped it into the kangaroo's pouch for safekeeping. "We never had so many visitors at the old zoo," said Annie and Teddy. She told Annie and Teddy, "My animals can stay here forever. Will you stay too?" "We'd like to," said Annie, "but we can't. We've got to find our own way home," explained Teddy. Annie and Teddy waved goodbye to their friends. "You know what's wrong with that zoo," said Teddy, as they walked away. "The bears don't look like me." And the forgotten toys set off again in search of their family. The end.